Someone's always going to say,
Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated.
Ward 1, Jim Hall.
Here.
Ward 2, Loretta Talley.
Here.
Ward 3, Tanya Cox. Here. Ward 4, Larry Wilson.
Here.
Ward 5, Jim Moore.
Here.
And Attorney Henry Anstey.
Here. Council, you've had an opportunity to read the financial report from November meeting minutes. Do we have any questions? If no questions at this time, we would like to have a motion to approve those.
I make a motion we approve the November meeting and financial report.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. First order of old business is Ms. Christie Gerald. This is our second public hearing on the water improvement construction project.
Yes, good evening, happy holidays. So, our final grant application is actually due next Friday. Hoping to turn that in a little bit early. I'll be getting with Larry tomorrow to review his letter of support and just got a few little tweaks. I'll get the narratives back over to HWC so they can move them over. And then I think we're ready to roll on. We've made a lot of good changes from our site visit from the first time. So we submitted our proposal before the due date of 10/24. Final application, as I stated, is due next Friday at midnight. But I'll get that in early. And we should have a notice for grand award most likely February 27th of 2026. Okay. 2 public hearings are required. This is our second one we're having tonight, so we're meeting that. From the first time that we turned in the grant application, our grant application has increased a little bit in cost. Total project cost is $1,005,750 because we did add some valves into the system. Because we went over $1 million, we were able to get another $50,000 in grant. So you guys are only going to have to put up another additional $5,750 to get another $50,000 in grant. So requested grant amount is $750,000, and local match, you guys are doing $255,750 of local funds. $5,000 of that has already been previously paid for the environmental review, and $250,750 is from town water operating funds. I won't go over the scores, but we really need to score a minimum to make grant award 232.86. Last time we scored a 240, so I think we should, with the changes we've made, I think we should be able to get the grant award. So mainly the project consists of rehabilitating the inside and outside of your existing elevated water storage tank, because there is lead-based paint on one of the underneath coatings, so we're going to be fixing that. And then we're going to be adding in all new water meters into your entire system, which is going to be radio read. It's going to be a lot more efficient, more accurate, be able to really understand, because I think you're having some water loss from those old meters. And then we're going to add some valves, and then we're also going to put in a permanently fixed generator at your well field, which will help. If you got your systems down, you'll be able to keep your water moving at all times. Larry, just for the minutes, do you want to, is this your number one top priority as the town council president, this project?
And what do you want me to say?
Yes. Town top priority, okay?
Yep, whatever you tell me to say.
Okay. And, well, we've made a lot of changes to the application. The state just really didn't have a good feel, like they got really mixed up with, why haven't you guys, it's been listed in your IDEM inspection reports for the past 9 years that you need to, rehabilitate the tower, and why haven't you done that? Well, it's because of money. So, we're gonna try to shift the focus of the grant application to the importance. We're gonna mention all the elements, but the importance, doing your water meters is huge for your system, for the utility and everything. So we kind of try to change the focus onto that. And also with the valves, with recent things that you guys have had with the joint incident and people being without water, so.
Yeah, and this will free up our workers, of which we only have 2. We're back to 2 again.
Yeah.
We did have a part-time person that was here, but he's out on the leave, so he'll be out for a while. But, it takes a lot of time right now to read meters. And you always have the human interaction. So you've got them bent down trying to read meters. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. You see the fluctuation. Plus in the wintertime, as Chris said, you don't have to read meters. We're so used to having our meters based on an average, and it somewhat gets confusing in March or April when we start reading again. You get fixed emotions about why am I getting charged with this, or why do I have this credit? So that's another good thing about this, and it is a system that is absolutely coming directly here to Melissa at the office. We'll have to install the software here, but there's no drive-by picking up a signal. It's coming straight here from the tower.
How many hours a month do you, did you want to say that out loud, what it takes in?
How many hours a month to read the meter? Well, they take about 4 complete days to do that.
All your
month.
2 to 3 workers, and then so that would free them up to do other water related.
Yeah. And they may, there may be times where there's an emergency during the water meter reading, and then they kind of break off and go take care of that, and then they come back and they start again. So you could take, instead of that 4 days, it could be 7 days based on what they're involved in. And it was difficult even when Joint was here, because we had them calling for marking lines, and we're telling them, hey, we're not gonna do anything for this 4 days, we're gonna be reading meters, and then I get a call from Joint, and it says, hey, you're not being cooperative. And I explained to them that, hey, we only have 2 people, that's it. And we have a certain deadline, and we have to get those in the mail, and, sometimes, as you saw, as a Fairview resident, the mail had actually messed up, and nobody got their water bill, they wonder what's going on. So we try to improve where we can. But yeah, it should free them up to do a lot of things, some things that we didn't even get done this year that need to be done. And our guys are primarily part-time no matter what, unless they have to be involved in like Ralph, who spent many hours with Joint fixing problems. So.
Is there a resident, I must have one resident comment, would you like to make a comment, like, are you in support of the project and improving water infrastructure? And
Yes, my name is Mike Kelly. I'm in favor of this, have been a long time. And brought up already before about having on-way readers. Get rid of no big time. It will help our community a lot. And it also helps smooth the attitudes out when they get different figures on their meters from averaging and stuff. And I think everybody has to agree and make everybody happy.
Yeah, I hope to see that, and like you said, we know there's a definite water loss.
Right.
Whether it's the age of the meter or something out there is happening, we're trying to get that under control as well.
That's the problem with the feature that's on the system, the flag, if you had some other rupture leak. That did, was positive too, because it's hard to find the same that we have here.
Is there anybody in the room that's had a water adjustment?
I don't think in the room.
Yeah.
You have?
You have,
Oh, yeah, I remember right in front of that.
I remember that, yeah. I did.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the grant application or the process?
No, I do. I have a question about when they award it, who do we meet with? Or do we meet with someone?
So what will happen is, if we do get awarded, they will call you 2 days before and they'll let you know that they're going to announce the awards and that congratulations, you got it. And so that will be the end of February. And then, it'll come out in the official, like you can't say anything until they post it, you know, on the official day. I think it's going to be the 27th of February. And then, right then, that's when HWC will go into, they'll start with the design. And, then once they're done with final design, it'll take a month or two, then we will actually bid the project out publicly, go out for public bid. And then we have to take the lowest, most responsive contractor. And then, we open the bids, engineers do the checks, they bring back their recommendation to council will then, you know, approve or deny, and then we can get started on construction. So I would say we're probably looking late summer, early fall to start construction.
Yes, sir. Does that, are we looking at the same people that came and tried to show us the readers that time, or is this somebody else? Where they all make read?
I believe that they looked at Neptune, the correct.
I believe HWC, that's what
Yeah.
I'm
That's the one from Indianapolis.
I can't tell you that.
They were their own company, I didn't.
Yeah.
So,
I'd have to check with Eric Smith, our engineer, to see who we got the numbers from.
yeah, I was just curious, because I think you were going with other companies.
So with the bids, what HWC will do, we can't just call out and say Neptune, so they'll say a Neptune type meter, with the specs or equivalent. So we'll have to see how the bids come in for that.
Yeah, so, I think currently all of our meters are Neptune. For the time. A lot of them have quite a bit of age on them. It's a good project for the thing. It really is.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Okay.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Have great holidays.
Did you rework it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll call you tomorrow at 1 o'clock later.
Okay,
Okay.
fair enough. Your excuse me.
Thank you. Good day.
Do we have any other old business? Council? No? Anybody on the floor, any old business? Mike, you got anything back there? All right. Well, I'm gonna turn it over to Tanya to introduce Karen, in your full name, from Thrive.
This is Karen Snyder, and she's been kind enough to come and explain, what we might be thinking about doing for some of the sidewalks. So we have to work here.
Excellent. Again, my name is Karen Schneider. I'm with Fairview Central. I'm one of the planners there. And Tanya was gracious enough to actually speak with Patrice Dayton when your paths crossed several months ago. And the idea came up about what can we do about sidewalks? Well, Fairview Central just finished working with the city of Greencastle and have put together, I'm going to say a nice little package deal. And so I spoke with Tanya about it from Fairview Park, and that's from the idea of doing potentially a joint project between Clinton and Fairview Park. I love this idea. Before I get too deep into it, there's a couple of things that I want to make sure that we kind of even the playing field. When I'm talking about this, I'm going to try to avoid using some acronyms, but there are a few that I may throw up, and I'm really sorry if I do. But the first one is ADA, stands for the Americans with Disabilities Act. That came out about in the 1990s, in 1990, I should say. And that is one of the driving plans that we're going to be talking about. The second term that is in your package is GIS. That stands for Geographic Information Systems. What GIS does is it takes reams and reams and reams of data about almost anything you can think of, and it portrays it in such a way that you can see it graphically. Vermilion County has the WTHI GIS system available, and so that's very similar to what we're going to be talking about. Another term that is a little uglier is called PROAG. And what PROAG is basically it's the public right-of-way guidelines, accessibility guidelines. And this is a list of all the rules and regulations that public facilities need to accommodate. And in this case, we're talking about roads, sidewalks, trails, etc. And then the last term that I'm going to be using is called Title VI. And this is Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. And it has to do with, we don't want to discriminate based on race, color, or, I was getting the last one, national origin. I keep wanting to say religion. So before I move on, are those terms okay with everybody? So in your packet, you have two different sides, basically. One of them is a proposal that was put together, and it's a joint proposal between Clinton and Fairview Park. The second side is the slides that I'm talking about, and I apologize for the technical difficulties today. So the proposal that you're seeing has four different parts of it. First off, we are looking at community-wide sidewalk inventory, and I'm going to be very specific and very deliberate to say using GIS. And why is that important? Using technology helps us better refine the information. So we're going to have, if this proposal goes through, we're going to have interns running around with iPads, taking photos, documenting locations, verifying is there sidewalk here or not. That's the basic question. Is this intersection accessible for someone who may be using a mobility device? Once that is completed, or as that is wrapping up, we'd be moving into updating your Americans with Disabilities Transition Plan. Now, this is a federally mandated plan that municipalities need to have on hand. Particularly here in Indiana, you need to have an Americans with Disabilities Transition Plan that needs to be updated regularly, and then also a complementary Title VI plan in order to pursue any state or federal funds. So these two documents need, and particularly I'm speaking about the Indiana Department of Transportation. If you were to go after community crossing dollars, these two documents need to be filed and approved. Okay? Once all of this is coming together, this is why you have grant writers. It'll be so much easier for you as a town to be going after state and federal funds to do sidewalk improvements, to do community crossing, any other type of transportation project. Once this plan is in place, it makes it so much easier for you to chase after any funding opportunities that you have. And then it also promotes safe walking, bike riding in your communities. So why does this matter? And I'm sorry. I see you, and then I can't see this. I see this, and then I can't see you. The key here is that we want to make sure that your town is accommodating, it's equitable, it's accessible. And so by us taking these steps, it really does bridge those gaps, if you will. The transition plan that we're talking about, it does ensure that you are compliant. And if you are not compliant, you have a roadmap, unintended, a roadmap to get there. What improvements can you make today and then tomorrow and then in the future to make your community that much more accessible. It ensures that you are meeting ProAg, the public right-of-way guidelines. We want to make sure that that's all check the box and make sure that all is well. We want to, part of the ADA transition plan is that once this is all done, you will have a schedule of improvements that can be made and what it's going to take to get your town more accessible, more accommodating. And then this documentation, like I said, is required by the Indiana Department of Transportation before you can pursue state transportation dollars, federal transportation dollars. Very similar on the Title VI plan, it promotes that fairness and that equal access. It prevents the discrimination of programs and projects, and it's required documentation before you pursue state or federal funding for transportation. So why is this important? It connects your community. It basically, it gives kids a place to walk. It gives people a place to ride their bikes. Gives all of this business better access. And it encourages walking and other activities. We have 4 major steps in this project that we would be looking at: collecting the GIS data, analyzing those conditions and reporting that back to you, updating and reviewing the plans, and then finalizing it with you and then getting those plans adopted. From start to finish, we'd be looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 months. And I put a buffer in there, apparently after a few weeks like we've had, where weather is absolutely influencing the data collection. I wouldn't want anybody out there trying to walk the sidewalks this time of year. Let's see. So in your packet, there is an interesting slide. We've spoken pretty frequently with the town of, or with the city of Clinton, and they provided us with a list of questions that they wanted us to specifically address and answer. And so there's a table on there, and it's stuff like who will administer the program. By program, in this case, they were asking about the Americans with Disabilities and the Title VI. In both cases, it would be a representative from Fairview Park. It would not be a representative of FREC. We would be a consultant for you if questions arise, if there's any concerns, but this ends up being a town responsibility. This is not something that FREC would take on your behalf. The next question was who would investigate complaints? Complaints of discrimination, complaints of inaccessibility. And as part of this process, a person representing Fairview Park will be determined, and we will walk through with them the investigation process, how this all looks, the reporting process, etc. The next question was, Clinton had a list of high traffic areas. How will they be addressed? We will work with you if Fairview Park has that list as well. And we will make sure that all of the areas are covered, that you have every opportunity to then go, hey, I need you to take a look at XYZ Street, or we want to focus primarily on the park, or whatever that looks like. We can make sure that that is covered to a level that you're comfortable with. Next question is, who will submit the annual report? The annual report is a document that shows what steps you've taken to become more compliant. Did you, with community crossing money, hypothetically, did you upgrade some intersections to have pedestrian ramps and little red blocks or domes? Did you put those in? That's a part of the reporting process, and that happens annually. Their next question was, what was the annual cost to administer this plan? And that's going to depend on the level of reporting, the level of were there any complaints filed, et cetera. So basically, in several of the plans that we've already worked with different communities on, it takes someone roughly an hour to gather all of the new reporting information. That's it. There's additional requirements, making sure that any new municipal staff are fully informed about Title VI and the Americans with Disabilities. There's a training requirement to go to a class, it's a couple hours every year. That kind of stuff, we couldn't sit there and tell you with any certainty, it's gonna cost you $5,000 a year, we don't know that. But for the most part, those are the types of tasks that we're looking at. And then the last question was pretty much directed specifically to Clinton about an agreement between the park board and the city, so it doesn't have to do. So, what's the next steps? Thrive is presenting to Clinton in January. We had to delay their presentation. If both communities decide, yes, this is really great, we would prepare agreements for review and signature, and we're probably in the February-March timeframe. We're going to do a project kickoff, likely in April, and we can have some interns in your community out there with their iPads probably in April. Most of the interns that we're looking at are coming from either Rose-Hulman or Indiana State, or even potentially Stanford. So I'm trying to make sure that there's nothing happening in May, just because that's going to be their final time and graduation. But we would probably be looking at going through the summer with their sidewalk inventory and analysis, and then we're going to have a plan themselves. So, if you take a look, I'm sorry, if you take a look in the proposal, there is a financial table. And I wanted to talk very quickly about this. Thrive West Central is a contractor for the Indiana Department of Transportation. We are charged to do a certain number of tasks for them every year. And one of them that we are doing is, actually two of them that we are working on. One, we collect data about assets. Now, assets in this case, roadways, sidewalks, trails, intersections, safety, all of that is information that we collect that data. That contract works on an 80-20 match, so NDOT provides 80% of the funding, local match is 20%. So as you can see here, we're looking at roughly a $25,000 project between the asset inventory, the ADA transition, the Title VI, and then the final adoption and report out. We're looking at about roughly a $25,000 project. However, based on the funding that's available, we're looking at dividing between Clinton and Fairview Park. Collectively, it would be a $5,000. So, if I were sitting in your shoes, a couple of questions I would have would be, why do we need to do this? Well, the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Title VI, those are foundational and fundamental processes and procedures and policies that Fairview should have ingrained in who you are. You don't want to be discriminatory, you want to make sure that your community is accessible and accommodating and welcoming. If you don't have these, it cuts off a lot of opportunities for you to pursue federal or state dollars. Why do we need to do this now? Well, we would love to be working with you. We don't have anybody lined up for this coming spring. Why not you? I think that would be a great opportunity. I feel like I'm doing a used car sales job here. Are there any questions or concerns that have risen to the top that you would like to ask?
As far as the representative, that you said like the liaison or
Yes.
whatever, does it have to be a board member or could it be someone in
Our,
town?
I think that that's somebody that we could discuss. In a lot of cases, there's been discussion that elected officials can be replaced very quickly. On the other hand, so could a staff member. So I think that that's definitely the discussion item. I know Clinton had a council person that was their representative for years. Unfortunately, he's no longer able to be their representative, so I think conversation in Clinton is going to be interesting as well.
But it's not a board member.
They could. It's not ideal.
Yeah, that's right. I would,
Yes, sir.
Would this include a proposed plan for a new sidewalk, or just upgrading the ones we have?
Just, well, it would include, I'm gonna say, it would include a gap analysis. Is there a huge gap between the school, hypothetically, between the school and the park? That needs to be closed in order to help people get to one or the other very easily. We won't necessarily be sitting here engineering them for you, but we will tell you areas that might have a lot of gravel on it, that, you know, when the street sweepers out in the spring, it'd be really good if they could just do a little dip and pull off the gravel. We'll be looking at the areas that the tree roots are growing up, and that might need to be replaced. We're not engineers, we're planners. I don't play one on TV, but what this will do is give you the information so that you can be going after projects that you can have engineering included.
We have the nicest park in the area, so most of the traffic will be going to that park. Clinton just replaced it with the sidewalk. Was that from a different plan, or was that one of your projects?
I believe it was from a different project, but
Different brand?
yeah.
Which sidewalks would you start with? Is this like an overall thing you have to comply with? Or is this like, we'll come in sections, like say, our roads are 50-foot wide, north and south. But all the rest of them, there's no real room for sidewalks.
it won't be new sidewalks.
Uh,
It'll just be fixing existing sidewalks. that are-
Existing.
Yes, we're not gonna put in sidewalks on the
Okay,
street.
that's answering the question. I'm afraid it's,
And we would be approaching it as fall, just because if we're to just try and do a couple of blocks, that doesn't give you all the information you need. We would be doing both communities at the same time.
Besides the ramp at the intersection where you're crossing the road, if there's places where triggers, there's a sidewalk on the line, and that'd be part of the thing to repair that, and not messing with walking or a traffic hazard
Correct.
or a scooter.
This would be identifying that information for you, it wouldn't necessarily be giving you the dollars to replace that. That's the next step for you to tackle.
We don't really have any sidewalk there, but really.
No, this is kind of my question, is this would be the plan, where we are, where we should be, and how do we get from here to there? Plan,
Plan,
that's the basis for developing, that's backup for the grant application
yes, sir,
to do the work.
yes, sir.
Preliminary engineering, okay, preliminary planning, I'm sorry, not engineering.
I will be doing the planning side of it, not any of the engineering.
So they have to be strategic in what we need or what we feel like we need for the community. For instance, if you're correct, the roads are 50 foot north and south and 40 feet east and west. In many cases, in some are even smaller than that because they transition from alleys to streets when 911 required an address. But one of the things to think about, for instance, even though you have that 50-foot right of way, what happens to the town of Fairview Park if the school corporation decides to shut down the other elementaries and put them up here? We can barely handle the traffic for it. And we would be looking at, let's say you just, oh, well, over where I live in Kitty Street needs sidewalks because we got a ton of people walking over there. What's gonna happen when you have to line that up and maximize that 50-foot right of way and you decide to stick? You know, I mean, there's a lot of strategic planning
There is, and
in
this
this
is.
to handle those situations.
This is looking at what you have today. This isn't necessarily saying, oh, let's envision a world for tomorrow.
Right.
Let's look at what you have today and then
I
from there.
understand that. I do. Because people would love to have more sidewalks than that. I understand, and it is safer. But, yeah. I'm sure collectively, with input, we'll figure out what the best project is or what it looks like.
Right.
And so forth.
You bet. And we'll be walking with you every step of the way. We've already worked on these plans with several different communities and counties. So that's why we're stepping up, going, hey, let us help you do this. And thankfully, we have a really great working relationship with the one person at the Indiana Department of Transportation who is responsible for all of these. And, you know, have the ability to call and ask questions, do all the things that most communities don't even know who to start with, let alone be asking some pretty heavy questions about. Because these topics aren't always easy.
And generally, in a project, the match is 20%.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And your 20% in this case will help offset some of the costs that we have for some equipment and a couple of mileage, et cetera.
Any other questions?
I was just wondering if they're just gonna focus on what we've got.
That was our primary
Yeah, that's what I thought.
position that we took, was we were gonna focus on what we have, which I'm not really sure the linear feet of that.
Quite a bit.
We can have-
Karen and I, in the summer, we went walk most of those. Like, okay, that one could be taken care of, and this one's probably, that would be big.
Would this have to be on both sides of the street?
Yes.
Well, some
And
lanes
that's okay,
wouldn't allow that, true.
that's okay. If there's not sidewalk on both sides of the street, that's fine.
Well,
As long as there's something that's accessible. And we'll be looking at both sides of the street, and when this project is all said and done, the information that we provide, it will be in a GIS format, so it can be plugged into the county system or if you're part by the GIS system, that's great. But what it does is it shows, is there sidewalk between the two intersections? And if not, it notes that, and it's fine. Great. Is there, you know, one thing that we noticed in one community we've done several years ago is that in a certain area of their town, there was a propensity for, long-standing vehicles to be blocking the sidewalk and will likely never move under their own power. That was a hazard that was noted, that all of a sudden code enforcement can go in and make a change. It doesn't have anything to do with their American Disabilities Plan projects, but that was something that a different department could come in and make an immediate change by going and talking to the landlord. But nobody had brought it up, so everybody just sort of diving around it. Let's make this easier.
So it doesn't block the town into any future projects, like you'll pick out a project and that'll be it.
And I do want to say, when we're talking about projects, it could be something as simple as, like I said, street sweeping. That could be a project in the springtime or in the fall. It could be something as simple as, you know, going in and raising some concrete at an intersection because it's flooded frequently. Whatever the specific treatment is, I'm not sitting here talking, you know, hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. I'm looking at it from what are some low-cost, quick wins that could be done by the town that will make this more accommodating, more comfortable.
Right. Then after that, I'm not really locked into areas. The reason I'm saying that some areas are just not feasible to put sidewalks in Fairview because of the way
And
it's
I'm not-
laid out.
No, and I'm not dictating that you do.
Yeah, okay, so
This
this
would
is,
not dictate that.
yeah, there wouldn't be any on the right.
It's just for what we have.
Right.
Okay.
It really comes down to what do you have, what needs some attention, and how can you move forward with that.
So it's helped us, the town, by knowing what's on the front burner, what needs attention. But anything contracting going beyond that would be in the town? Not part of the project. You did the plan, right?
We're doing the plan.
Okay, so anything that has to be executed, that then you'll be up to the town to decide.
Yes,
What we're gonna do.
Yes.
Specs.
yes,
Bid the job,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
But this gives an overview.
yes,
You're offering us a plan to get to work on this lease, based on what you did.
absolutely.
Usually helping get us started.
Right.
Failing to plan is a plan to fail.
Absolutely.
So, there are some business cards in each of the folders. If you do come up with any additional questions, I would welcome them, by email, by phone, however that works for you. Like I said, we'll be going to Clinton in January, in late January, so, I don't expect there to be any, new information coming until then. But I would really love to make this cooperative project work. I feel like it's a great opportunity for you to realize some savings here too. You know, if I have an intern coming up for a week, let's let them walk around your town and catch the information a little bit. Okay,
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. We are going to hang around for just a minute, and if there's any other questions, we can wait until the end, or you guys can just see me. Is that right?
We have ordinance, number 2025 -6, the 2026 salary.
Salary ordinance number 2025-6, in order to set salaries for elected town officials, town water and wastewater utility employees under IC 36-5-3-2 shall be as follows. The following salaries are hereby fixed and paid to the town council, clerk treasurer, and employees of the town of Fairview Park and the water and wastewater utilities for a period commencing January 1, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2026. It is hereby ordained that the following salaries be paid from the named fund. Under general fund, the town council members will be making $240 monthly, $2,880 yearly. The clerk treasurer will make $1,056 monthly, $12,672 yearly. The marshal will make $643 monthly, he will make $7,716 yearly. The janitor will make $258 monthly, he will make $3,096 yearly. The attorney, which is information only, will make $286 monthly, $3,432 yearly. The part-time laborer 1 will be at $20.70 per hour plus 10 paid vacation days. The part-time laborer 2 will be at $16.50 per hour plus 10 paid vacation days. Part-time laborer 3 will be at $20.50 per hour, no vacation, but overtime allowed. Part-time clerical assistant will be at $15 per hour. Under public safety, the deputy marshal safety officer will make $2,660 monthly, $31,920 yearly. Under the MDH fund, part-time laborer 1 will make $20.70 per hour. Part-time laborer 2 will make $16.50 per hour. Part-time laborer 3 will make $20.50 per hour. Part-time maintenance operator, $15 per hour. Under the water utility, the superintendent, street and office 1 will make $3,600 monthly, $43,200 yearly. The collections clerk will make $1,929 monthly, $23,148 yearly. The clerk treasurer will make $465 monthly and $5,580 yearly. The part-time laborer 1 will be $20.70 per hour plus 10 paid vacation. Part-time laborer 2 will be $16.50 per hour plus 10 paid vacation. Part-time laborer 3 will be $20.50 per hour, no vacation, overtime allowed. Part-time machine operator and clerical assistant will be $15 per hour.
passed and adopted by the town council of the town of Fairview Park, Indiana, this 9th day of December, 2025. And again, that's salary ordinance number 2025-6.
Council will be taking some of that, and I'm sure we'll get a bring on it. At this time, could we have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion made in second to accept ordinance 20, the 2026 salary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any other new business before we move on to the claims for the town? So at this time, we've asked for the claims for the town, we read for town water, utility, wastewater, and so.
The claims for the town for the month of December is $16,346.47. The claims for the water is $19,930.11. The claims for the wastewater is $6,370.67. And the claims for the stormwater is $2,346.34.
Council, you've heard the claims. Do we have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the claims.
I'll second. Motion made in second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. If no one out there has anything else, we have nothing up here on the board. Wish you all a Merry Christmas, and we ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll be
You are now.